So tell me, Jorge, like everybody's actually like really wondering how exactly did you come up with the idea for this product?
I wish I had the original idea, but it sort of came out of serendipity. Uh, let's think back 2020.
Okay. Like
Do you
early
remember?
2020 or like pandemic 2020?
Think about March 13th, 2020.
Okay. So the very beginning of the pandemic.
That's the day everything shut down.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Like we didn't know how we were gonna go to the supermarket. What we were gonna do for jobs. Everything was just crazy.
I remember we were actually thinking about like maybe we had to like lay off people.
Absolutely.
It was hard times, yeah.
We've got 120 employees at a company right now, and we're thinking, oh my God, how are we going to make it to the end of the month? But fortunately, we are in the ag business. So, food is food. So we're able to remain open. But our ag business is actually fertilizers and pesticide business.
Right, that's correct, yeah.
And since 2012, do you remember my friend Scott?
Oh yeah, you can't forget about Scott. Once you met him, there's no way you could forget about Scott.
Scott's a complete character. He's got a very thick Southern accent, if you remember that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard for me to understand. And he owns one of the largest agricultural consulting companies in the US. He's in North Carolina. And we were actually making very good sales in the cannabis space. Because I don't know if you know this, but you need to grow cannabis a lot like tobacco.
Oh yeah? How so?
Because everything you put in your lungs goes directly to your bloodstream. So you need to fumigate cannabis with organic products. And that's all we do. So we're having a lot of success on the cannabis space. And March 13th, 2020, Scott calls me and he goes, well, I'm going to apologize in advance. I don't want to offend anyone.
If anybody feels offended, we are sorry in advance.
So sorry. And I just love my friend. And I'm going to try to mimic how he speaks. So he goes something like, Jorge. I'm like, hey, Scott, what's going on? Oh, man. We're going to go broke. We're just going to go broke, man. I'm like, why? What's going on? And he's like, well, everything shut down. And dispensaries are shutting down. So we won't have any weed to sell. No weed, no pesticides. No pesticides. We're out of business, buddy. And I'm like, dude, listen, the pandemic is just beginning, man. It's kind of, by the way, I thought the pandemic would last a couple of weeks.
Everybody thought that. 2 weeks max.
Crazy. So I told him, it's going to be a couple of weeks. And he goes, no. You don't understand. Everything is shut down. We're going to go broke unless you can come up with something to make cannabis stronger. And I'm like, all right, Scott, I got a lab, got nothing to do, hold my beer. So I got the team together. I got Laura, I got Alejandra, I got everyone together. And I told them, hey guys, we're on a mission, all right? My friend Scott says, if we can't figure out a way to make cannabis stronger, we're going to go broke. So keep in mind, there's a bunch of chemists sitting in a lab, nothing to do. So we're like, okay, we need a hypothesis. How are we going to make cannabis stronger, if that's even possible? So I'm like, okay, everyone get me a hypothesis. Every research has to start somewhere.
Yes, that's the first step.
So after about 2 hours, someone said, hey, wait a minute. Why do we say that that kid is acting strange, and we always call him out by saying he smokes raw cannabis. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but this is something we say in Honduras a lot. Like if someone acts crazy,
It's se la fuma verde.
yeah, se la fuma verde. He is acting crazy because he smoked raw cannabis, right? So I'm like, okay, that may be a hypothesis right there. Let's dig into it. So again, let's get on that headspace. You couldn't get out of your house without a special permit.
That's true. That's true. We had a special permit. That's our advantage back then. We had a special government permit, basically to just go to work. So
Yeah, that saved the day, by the way. So I had a permit, and I asked a friend who lives about 200 miles away from the lab if he had any spare cannabis plants. Keep in mind, cannabis is still illegal.
cannabis is still illegal, and you had so many checkpoints on the road because the police were controlling that nobody could actually be out and about. So you had police checkpoints. Cannabis is illegal, and they want to make sure you have a permit to be outside.
Exactly. So no cars on the road, 200-mile drive with a cannabis plant in the back of the trunk in a country where cannabis is still illegal.
Yes.
So
and there's like no real like possession is possession. It's not like, oh, it's only that. You can go. No, you have, they find it, they will put you in jail.
literal jail. So I just threw in a bunch of aspirins in the back of my truck, like big boxes of aspirin. And in one of those boxes, I placed the cannabis plant, and that's how I was able to bring it back to the lab. We're now back in the lab. I have a fresh cannabis plant in a pot, and I decide to cut a few trims and test them. And then that same plant, we treated it much like the cannabis processors in the US treat the plant, which is basically a controlled drying, curing, and then extraction. And what we found was the raw cannabis plant, the freshly cut, it's like a young woman, a 25-year-old woman.
Okay.
And that same plant, after you process it and you do the analysis, it's like a senior citizen.
Uh-huh.
That's how different the chemical profiles were.
Okay.
And I'm like, OMG, what are we doing to cannabis? In search of higher potency, in search for more THC, we're like destroying what makes cannabis great.
Yeah.
Right? But keep in mind, the reason they do that, it's because that's the only path to get THC out of cannabis.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Right? So there's no way to avoid getting rid of all the other stuff, right? So I thought to myself, well, cannabis is just a plant. There must be other plants with all of these compounds that maybe, remember, this is 2020, maybe we can get them
true.
And do something with them.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we had. So we started researching similar plants. Do you know what the closest family to cannabis is?
I have no idea.
It's hops.
Hops? Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Beer. I have no idea. Me either.
Okay.
I'm not an entomologist, but hops is the closest family member to the cannabis plant. So in essence, we did the same with hops, found nothing. All right. So we expanded the search. Cannabis is a member of the Graminia family, grass. That's why some people call it grass.
Okay.
And we expanded to things like sugarcane, which is a kind of like a far relative of cannabis.
Was there any luck with sugarcane? Yeah. Okay.
Not at all.
Oh, no sugarcane.
No
Don't think you can smoke sugarcane.
So we eventually expanded the search to veggies, fruits. Remember, this is the pandemic.
Yeah.
We had nothing to do. So we're just a bunch of chemists reading chemical profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I got on my hands the chemical profile for mangoes.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, hey, did someone make a mistake? I'm like, why? Because I got mango here. It looks like the young cannabis
No.
chemistry profile.
Wow.
Mind blow. And I'm like, no way. It can't be that easy. Can't be. I mean, mango is already in juice.
Yeah.
All you need to do is drink the juice. What's wrong with that? So I actually Googled mangoes and cannabis. And I found out, oh, geez. I mean, we're talking real OGs, 70s.
Uh-huh.
People in college were eating huge amounts of mangoes because cannabis wasn't that strong back then.
Yeah.
So they were actually using mangoes.
They were like trying to...
Yeah, exactly. So long story short, we get the mango profile and we were able to isolate the exact same profile
Okay.
the cannabis lost
Okay.
during all that. So I take that profile, put it in a pill,
Okay.
and ship it to my friend Scott in the US, right? So about a week later, I get a call from my friend.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
He's a character.
What did he say?
And he was fuming mad. I mean, I could see blood coming out of his eyes, and he goes, Jorge. And I'm like, yeah, Scott, what's going on? He's like, what the hell did you send me? And I'm like, Scott, you asked me for something to make cannabis stronger. That's what you have. And he goes off on me. He goes, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with a bunch of pills, motherfucker? Whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, and he just kept going. He was fuming. He was like, am I supposed to put the pills in the cannabis pods? Am I supposed to give them to the frigging chickens so they can shit and compost that pills, motherfucker? What the hell? I'm like, Scott, hold on a minute, buddy. You asked me for something to make cannabis stronger. Yeah, mother humper, but I wanted a fertilizer to make cannabis stronger. I'm like, jeez.
What a huge miscommunication there was there.
Absolutely. So I go, okay, Scott, listen, pandemic's still going on, right? It's been weeks. Probably it's going to be another couple of weeks before all this is over. So bear with me. Give the pills to your friends. And then I'll go back to the lab and try to create a fertilizer that makes cannabis stronger, right? So that was the end of the call.
Yeah.
15 days later,
Okay.
I get another call from Scott.
Was he fuming again?
Yes.
Again, he was angry?
Again, he was angry. And I'm like, Scott, what's wrong now? And he goes, Jorge, what in the world did you put in those goddamn pills? I'm like, Scott, those are like vitamins to make cannabis stronger. Well, you better start patenting this shit. Because I've been high for about 2 weeks and I don't know how to get down, motherfucker. Get me out of this place.
So the product worked.
So that was the first hint that we had something really good.
Yeah.
But we actually had to transform it into something that we could sell it, without crossing lines, So we decided to create the first product for cannabis health.
Yes.
Everyone's trying to sell you, more cannabis, higher THC percentages, a better gummy, a better vape pen. No one is taking care of your health. So we actually came up with HIGHR Daily Multivitamins, the very first multivitamin designed for cannabis users. And guess what?
What?
You can feel them. You can never feel a vitamin. Don't get me wrong. If you don't smoke cannabis, these are like super great vitamins. Like they're designed specifically for cannabis users.
Yeah.
So if you're a cannabis user, OMG, you support your endocannabinoid system, you can feel the difference in 30 minutes.
So it's fast acting.
Oh, super fast acting. I highly recommend it. And
does it like matter how often you smoke cannabis?
Actually, no. You know, anyone that smokes cannabis, whether you smoke once a month or once a day or even more, anyone can make use of HIGHR Daily Multivitamins. And the reason is we got a focal group with a medical doctor and 25 cannabis smokers. And we went over every single ailment that could be aided or supported through vitamins. So cannabis users sometimes have memory problems.
They do.
It's in there. Sometimes their sleep pattern is disrupted. You've got zinc in there. Your thought process, you know, when you're high, sometimes get disjointed.
Yeah.
There's the B complex in there. Every single multivitamin that's in this compound, plus the mangasol. Right? So back to the story. We ended up patenting the terpene profile, which is over 80 terpenes in a single cap. And this profile is based on a very specific mango strain that's only found in Honduras.
That's amazing.
Do you know which one is?
I'm going to guess like maybe Pespita.
Yeah.
Pespita. That's a type of mango here in Honduras. Also a town, but yeah.
Yeah. So the Pespira mango has basically the same chemistry profile as cannabis.
Okay.
Sans the THC and the CBD, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Almost. They're like long lost brothers.
Long lost relatives of
yeah,
cannabis.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the story. That's how we came up with HIGHR Daily Multivitamins. And we hope you can enjoy them as much as we do. We hope you can keep healthy as much as we can. And that you find a way to support your endocannabinoid system. And you can try them. And if you're like me, you'll fall in love with them.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's the way HIGHR Health came up. And it all just random chance, we could say, and miscommunication. So miscommunication, it's not always that bad.
Absolutely.